All right, let's talk about space. Specifically, one of the most ambitious projects coming out of the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO. It's a system that's being designed to solve a huge, fundamental problem with operating in space. We're going to dive into how India is building its very own unblinking eye in the sky.
So let me ask you this. How would you have a constant phone call with a friend who's whipping around the entire globe every 90 minutes at 28,000 kilometers an hour? Sounds pretty much impossible, right? Well, that is the exact challenge that space agencies face every single day with their satellites.
Our story really starts in what's called low Earth orbit, or LEO for short. You can think of it as the busiest superhighway in space. It's just bustling with thousands of satellites for weather, for mapping, and it's where future human missions like India's Gaganyaan are going to operate. But this supercritical zone has a massive communications bottleneck.
And that problem is what's known as the blind spot. See, for every single satellite whizzing around in LEO, there are these vast stretches of its orbit where it's totally out of contact with mission control on the ground. It's effectively flying solo. The way we do it right now is honestly surprisingly clunky. A satellite gathers absolutely vital information, let's say it's taking images of a cyclone that's forming, but it has to just hold on to that data. It has to wait until it happens to fly over a ground station. Then it gets this tiny window, just a few minutes, to transmit everything before it vanishes over the horizon and a blackout period begins all over again. And the scale of this gap is just huge. You're looking at a few precious minutes of contact for what amounts to almost an hour and a half of complete silence. Now, for critical missions, whether it's national security or human spaceflight, that silence isn't just inefficient, it is incredibly risky. An 80-minute delay could be the difference in a disaster response. This quote really hits the nail on the head. At the end of the day, it's all about line of sight. If a satellite can't see a ground station, it's in the dark. Simple as that. So the big question is, how do you light up that darkness? Well, the solution is a really elegant one. India's Data Relay Satellite System, or IDRS. Instead of trying to dot the entire globe with hundreds of ground stations, ISRO is putting a communications hub directly in the sky. And how many of these complex, high-tech hubs do you think are needed to get continuous global contact? A dozen? More? Nope, just 2. The real power of this system is its incredible strategic simplicity. So, how on earth do just 2 satellites achieve this? Well, they fly much, much higher, up in geostationary orbit, a staggering 36,000 kilometers up. From that incredible altitude, they move in perfect sync with the Earth's rotation, kind of like a dancer perfectly matching their partner's every single move. This lets them hover over one region, giving them this massive, constant view of the planet and all the LEO satellites down below. This new workflow is a complete and total game changer. That satellite in LEO can send its data whenever it needs to. The IDRS satellite, acting like a celestial postman, catches that data and immediately relays it down to Earth. And the result? No more blackout periods, just a constant 24/7 link. So why does this matter so much? Well, it unlocks real-time data from India's eyes in the sky. It means you can have constant health checks on your most critical assets. And most importantly, it gives you an unbroken lifeline to astronauts on future missions. This technology just transforms the possibilities for better science, enhanced national security, and of course, far safer space exploration. The key takeaway here is this transformation. The IDRSS fundamentally changes India's relationship with its assets in space. It shifts everything from these occasional check-ins to a persistent, always-on connection. And this leaves us with a fascinating final thought. When you're no longer limited by when you can talk to your spacecraft, but only by what you want them to do, what new frontiers can India now reach for? With IDRS, the conversation with space never has to end.